Hello, beautiful people. Today we are going to be talking about David Avocado Wolfe again. You know, the guy who is claiming to put up an ozone system in everyone's house and said it would eliminate all diseases. Although I did respond to him already, I haven't addressed one of his major claims, and that has to do with the new type of vaccine he invented. If you're familiar with this guy, you probably know what I'm talking about already.
I have known there's been problems with vaccines my whole life because of my dad. I got last vaccine I got was when I was 7 years old, and I knew something was wrong, and I was like, that's it, no more. And I actually rejected all needles completely from that point on the rest of my life until, I get into like a stem cell thing, right, or whatever.
You're telling me you felt something was wrong with vaccinations when you were 7? What were you, in elementary school at the time? How could you possibly have enough knowledge to determine that?
Dell broke that story that, hey, there's problems here. We need to look at these problems. And of course, the monopoly control goes, we're not looking at any problems. There is no problem. CDC says there's no problem. But meanwhile, we all know from the research, there is a problem.
Claiming that the business of vaccinations is a monopoly is nothing but false. Multiple pharmaceutical companies produce vaccines, and many of them are working hard to provide new innovation when it comes to vaccine delivery. I actually know someone whose company does just that. Anyway, you claim that there are problems with vaccinations, so let's hear what you have to say.
And this type of problem, by the way, when you're injecting kids and you're injuring kids, that to me is a very serious problem.
Yes, I agree. That would indeed be a serious problem. Like if you inject anyone, not just kids, with AIDS, for example, who wouldn't have a problem with that? But vaccinations? Not so much, since it doesn't really injure people other than that 1 in a million chance of having an allergic reaction.
And I have taken massive flack. Massive amounts of attacks. I mean, that's what I get trolled on, mostly vaccines.
You get attacked because what you claim are complete nonsense, and you are endangering people's lives by saying what you say.
And because I question the vaccine theory, and I question the vaccine efficacy, and I know from experience, because I worked with Dr. Hitt in Tijuana for 10 years, there's a better technology, which is ozone.
There we go again with ozone. It's not reasonable. There are dangers to using ozone, especially if you're trying to get people to kill airborne pathogens in their homes. And then how do you protect people from going outside? It just makes no sense no matter how you look at it. I don't want to ramble too much on this since I already talked about it in a previous video.
We're trying to control infectious diseases. We all want that. And how do we do that? Well, we can do that with vaccines. That's one option. And that works most of the time as long as there's no chemicals, preservatives.
So it works according to you. Didn't you say you question the, quote, vaccination theory? How do preservatives designed to keep other bacteria out of vaccines hinder the way vaccinations work? I mean, let's just pretend for a second, for the sake of argument, that yes, the preservatives and other chemicals found in vaccines are harmful to you and cause autism or something. How, in that case, would that even interfere with how vaccinations help you develop an adaptive immune response for future infections? How does thimerosal or aluminum or whatnot hinder that process? What is the biochemical mechanism? Because these topics seem incredibly unrelated.
Which there are in heavy metal preservatives, which there are in these vaccines, but the vaccine theory is an effective theory.
Sweet contradictions.
Because I question the vaccine theory, but the vaccine theory is an effective theory.
This is the part where I do a fake laugh.
However, there's a better theory, which is let's use oxygen to neutralize infectious diseases. Oxygen kills polio on contact. Oxygen kills the vaccinium group of bacteria on contact.
You know what? I'm going to put a card or some shit, whatever that thing YouTube lets you do, on the top right corner that leads you to the video where I addressed Wolfe's claims on using ozone to kill pathogens. Is it showing up yet? It should be there already. Oh god, my human creator has forgotten. He forgets like everything. Like just the other day, he forgot to give me sunglasses in a video where we talked about sunglasses. What the fuck? Oh wait, there it is.
You want to talk about a controversial vaccine? I'll tell you what Dr. Hitt did down there. Someone would come in, just imagine what would happen after they've been cut, burned, poisoned. They've been through all the doctors, they've been through the whole system, all the chemicals, all the chemotherapy, everything. They finally are in a clinic in Tijuana. You'd be like, okay, first thing we're going to do is we're going to have you drink some water, and then we're going to take your urine, and we're going to give you a urine vaccine.
Okay, so that alternative medicine doctor was proposing to use a urine vaccine to treat someone who has been, quote,
cut, burn, poisoned.
I mean, what was he hoping to treat there with a vaccine? Don't get me wrong, therapeutic vaccinations do exist, and I'm well aware of some techniques that are used to treat cancer that involve selecting out viable immune cells, but this is completely different. Unless you are specifically using therapeutic techniques, vaccinations are usually for prevention, not treatment. It doesn't do much for those already infected, but perhaps he's about to come up with something innovative. I don't know, let's keep watching.
A urine vaccine, right? Which is, by the way, the most powerful vaccine of all.
Yes, so powerful you don't need ozone anymore, right?
And is very effective at controlling cancer. And if you vaccinated yourself with your first clear urine each day, the midstream of it each day, as we did at Dr. Hitt's clinic under medical supervision, you don't have to do medical supervision. What we do is we teach people how to do it so they can do it at home.
Oh my god, that just doesn't sound very pleasant. But then again, a lot of medical procedures aren't.
What you're doing is you're taking all of those antigens, right, or it's antigens, I think, is the response to the antibodies that come out in your urine, and then as soon as you inject that back into you, especially it's in your fat tissue, it has to go into your fat tissue, like in your butt. What happens is your body goes, oh, that's what we're dealing with. It tightens the feedback loop.
Yes, it tightens the feedback loop, whatever that means. Does the body really need a reminder on what it's dealing with? If the threat is in the body, the antigens will be in there too. Wolfe elaborates a bit more here, so let's keep listening for a while.
So your body's processing all your food and everything else and dealing with the cancer, and it's trying to uncode the cancer, and then all of a sudden next week the cancer changes its coding, and your body goes, wait, what happened? It's not there. Oh, it's over there. And then it's over there, and it's trying to uncode it again. It takes a week, and then it can't fight it effectively because the coding is changing, the viral coding. The urine vaccine tightens that loop down. So all of a sudden your body goes, oh, we know what the problem is because the antigens are immediately reintroduced back into your body, right?
Yes, time to go on a massive rant. Okay, so there are a few things I would like to point out here. First of all, cancer does indeed change its antigens, yes, but it can change it in a way not just to a new type of antigen to avoid immune detection, but it utilizes another mechanism that can interrupt a fundamental core process of immune response. Let me give an example. There is a type of lymphocyte that we have called cytotoxic T cells. These cells fight internal infection of cells, not external like B cells are responsible for. What they do is that they go around violating the privacy of cells by touching them, specifically touching their MHC class 1 molecules on their surfaces. Healthy cells display normal antigens and they will be fine, but if a cell has either been infected by a virus or become cancerous, their MHC molecules will display abnormal proteins, thus signaling cytotoxic T cells to release molecules Fas ligand, perforin, and granzyme B, which induce apoptosis in the target cell, and in this case, a cancer cell. However, cytotoxic T cells must first recognize the antigen from antigen-presenting cells, such as macrophages or dendritic cells, which give the information on which antigen to target, and this is where tumor cells fight back. In order for antigen presentation to occur to activate CD8+ cells, which become cytotoxic T cells once mature, a ligand on the presenting cell's surface called B7 ligand must bind to a CD28 ligand expressed by the CD8+ cell, and this happens in conjunction to the antigen being shown to the cell. When naive T cells mature to cytotoxic cells, they still depend on this B7 expression on their target in order to fully eliminate it. The ligand is usually present on harmful cells, but what tumor cells do is that they downregulate the expression of B7. So even if they have regular antigens being presented and recognized by the immune system, the lack of a B7 ligand prevents destruction from cytotoxic cells. This type of adaptation by the tumor cells is different than just switching the antigens. Sure, that is done too, but whenever an antigen mutates or changes, the immune system could re-recognize that antigen eventually. However, the B7 ligand that I mentioned is a class of proteins. Once those get downregulated, there isn't much for an immune system to adapt to, and that's what cancer does, which means the immune system will be deceived. But a urine vaccine like what you're proposing, to recycle the antigens, isn't going to reintroduce some vital proteins like B7 into cancer cells to help the immune system. What it presented is just one way tumor cells can deceive the immune system, and there are plenty more where just simply recycling antigens isn't going to help.
They've been sloughed off by your urine, bring it back in, all of a sudden your body goes, we got the problem, we understand it.
This brings me to my second point. Proteins that are excreted by your urine have already been in your bloodstream. After all, urine is filtered from the blood, so why would you think this would help? Your body was already exposed to those antigens once. Unless, of course, you filter out the other parts of urine, amplify the amount of antigens in the urine, then re-inject. Although that most likely won't do anything, it certainly sounds better and more scientific than what you're proposing. But you know what scientists are doing to treat patients with cancer using vaccination? vaccination, selecting out viable immune cells, possibly vaccinating them in vitro, growing them, then introducing them back to the patient. Doesn't that just sound so much better? Anyway, that's my time. Before I go, I wanted to let you all know about this new thing on YouTube called memberships. If you're not interested, feel free to close this video now. I've only just been given access to memberships by YouTube, so I said why not give it a try. Essentially, you guys can become members of this channel for just $4.99 a month, and that gives you extra perks that regular people don't have, including an icon that shows you make this channel possible, custom emojis available only to you, and some Patreon perks I already offer to people who donate $5 a month, including early access to videos and sneak peeks of future content. And more will be coming soon. The icon you get will be available next to your name in both the comment section and during live streams. If you do decide to donate to support this channel, and you don't want to use YouTube memberships, I do also have a Patreon which I offer various perks for each tier, and some exclusive rewards. So be sure to check that out as well. The link to my Patreon will be in the description, and the link to become a member of this channel is next to the subscribe button. If you can't donate, that's fine too. I will always be posting free content for you to enjoy. Seriously, don't force yourself to donate. Alright, thanks for listening.